High-speed police chase turns into a wrong-way head-on collision. The good news, no one injured out here. Well, those ratings are right here, and we'd be glad to teach the Oklahoman how to read them if the paper's interested in the facts. Ms. Kinney, it's Nick Winkler at Fox 25. We'd like to talk with you about some of those emails, ma'am, that you deleted. Sir, if you're gay yourself, how could you have so much hatred towards gays? Excuse us, sir. Were you coming here to take pictures of a nude college student? They are not even close right now to having all of these fires out. They're digging their heels in right now on what they hope will be their final stand. But you weren't at the meeting?
Thank you. I don't even remember.
You don't remember? You're not saying you weren't there? Police say your cousin's a murderer. We're live right now. Sheriff John Wetzel here. You've been on the scene the last couple of minutes. Everyone going to be okay after this? Be sure you copy down all of those serial numbers, because if you do not and they wind up being stolen, not even police can help. Can you just chat with us briefly on what you're doing to try to fix some things? Lawmakers say your tax dollars are being wasted. Our undercover camera caught state workers shopping, visiting acquaintances, and running errands while you're paying them to work. It's a loophole in the law, and now legislators say they intend to fix it. These are the state workers you pay to patrol the highways, the lakes, and to make your driver's license. And this is the state worker you've been paying to stay home for nearly a year. Carla Campbell has been suspended from the Department of Public Safety. Campbell stays inside her home for days at a time. On others, our undercover camera caught her shopping, running errands, and visiting with acquaintances. Some days she's not even out of her bathrobe before 6 in the evening. Ms. Campbell? Hi there, my name's Nick Winkler. I work over at Fox 25. We'd like to talk with you. We caught Campbell outside a convenience store during one of her shopping trips and asked if she wanted to work.
Yeah, of course I want to go back.
You want to go back to work?
Yeah, I love it there.
You love DPS?
Love it. Absolutely love it, yeah.
Campbell is not the only DPS worker being paid not to work for an extended period of time, but figuring up the total number of state workers on extended suspension with pay is difficult. No one keeps track of each agency's totals. Could you justify to the taxpayers why they should keep paying you to stay home, to shop, that sort of thing?
I can't talk to you.
There's more. The way the law is written, state workers could theoretically continue to be paid to stay home forever.
That's correct. I think that's a loophole that is created.
Scott Barger speaks for the Oklahoma Public Employees Association, or OPEA, which represents 10,000 state workers. He says in the past, agencies have abusively used lengthy suspensions to intimidate workers.
But certainly I would think that every state agency out there needs all hands on deck, does not need employees that are on suspension with pay for extended period of time. I don't think that's what this law was designed for, and I certainly don't think that's what the taxpayers expect.
DPS seems to be confused about the rules. First, it told us Campbell is on administrative leave. If that's true, then DPS is violating a state rule which limits workers to 32 hours of leave a year. Later, though, DPS suggests Campbell is suspended, but provided us no evidence it's investigating Campbell, like state rules say it must, if it's to keep extending her suspension every 20 days.
And you're allowing people to be off indefinitely? I would suggest that's a ghost employee.
State Representative Mike Christian says DPS is actually rewarding bad behavior. So, why was Campbell suspended in the first place? Police said you had harbored a fugitive. Is that true?
That is not true.
It's not true?
Not true.
Campbell has been charged with a felony. Police say she lied to them when they asked if she was hiding a fugitive in her home. They said there was a transient in your bedroom. Did they make it up?
Oh, for God's sake. A transient in my bedroom. That's not true.
State rules do not allow court proceedings to be taken into account when determining whether to extend a suspension, though DPS suggests Campbell is suspended until her criminal charges are resolved.
Again, I think it's unfair for the taxpayer to have to pick that bill up. You either need to put that person to work or fire them.
Procedures are in place to handle disciplinary decisions quickly.
You know, it's a judgment call, and sometimes there's other considerations that come into play.
Employment attorney Rand Eddy says while some state workers do have special protections, he says agencies that collect sound evidence and follow the rules can fire workers relatively easily. The fact Campbell's status is still uncertain frustrates some.
It makes me mad. It makes me mad as a taxpayer.
Stuart Jolly heads the taxpayer rights group Americans for Prosperity. He and OPEA's Barger want the law changed. They want to limit the length of time workers can be suspended with pay, and they want the state to keep track of all who are. Now lawmakers are considering it.
This indefinite suspension is it's not right, and it's a loophole that we probably ought to fix.
Until it is fixed.
You are stalking me here. What are you doing?
No, ma'am, I'm not stalking you. You're free to leave anytime you want. I'm not keeping you here. You'll continue paying Campbell not to work. Legislators say they'll consider changing the law when the session starts in a few months. Jill Kinney was leaving work when we found her. Ms. Kinney, you were in a hurry to get away from us yesterday. How come? Kinney is the DHS worker. The medical examiner's office paid $3,500 to investigate sexual harassment claims against former chief investigator Kevin Rowland.
The whole thing stinks, and I don't like it.
Rowland's lawyer, Scott Adams, says Kinney's interests were conflicted. He says besides investigating the ME's office, she was also at one time connected with Cahill Consultants, a company Adams says sent notices to workers at the ME's office offering legal services for a fee.
And of course, Ms. Kinney turns right around and solicits business from all the employees at the medical examiner's office to try to get them to file claims, and so she could make money.
As for investigator Kinney, she had little to say. Attorney Adams says you're double dipping at the medical examiner's office. Can you tell us if that's a conflict, ma'am? That consulting company is based out of this home. A person answering the phone did not answer our questions. Afterward, no one answered the door, though there were 2 cars in the driveway. The company is not registered with the Secretary of State or the Tax Commission, though the state says it may not have to be. Talk to us about your credentials as an investigator, would you please? Ma'am, can you tell us why you might destroy some of the documents we had requested? Besides the potential conflict, the ME's office says Kinney may have acted illegally by sharing the contents of her investigation with lawmakers. Lawyer Adams says Rowland was set up.
Then they got the OSBI involved. I mean, it makes no sense to me, and it doesn't pass the smell test.
If you were supposed to keep that investigation private, why did you share it with people? Rowland has been indicted on 5 counts of sexual battery. The Attorney General's office says even if Rowland's lawyer damages Ms. Kinney's credibility as a witness, the state says it has strong evidence of sexual battery from several other witnesses. These are the naked pictures an OU student allows strangers to snap in her off-campus apartment. She's 19, and her parents do not know, so she asked us to hide her face.
I talk to them in advance, and if they seem creepy, I just don't reply.
She says she's on scholarship at OU, but needs the money. So several weeks ago, she posted this ad on the internet, offering to take her clothes off for no less than $100 an hour. She says no one is allowed to touch, though.
Never sex, no. Nobody touches me.
She's walking a fine line on whether it's legal or not.
Cleveland County District Attorney Greg Mashburn says the student is likely not doing anything illegal, but the concern is she could be raped by someone posing as a photographer.
Common sense tells you that there'll be a number of those people that are willing to take it to the next level. Against her will or not, they're going to be sexually gratified. And so, I mean, it is incredibly dangerous.
The woman says she has had a close call with a man who wanted more than pictures.
Oh, he did pictures, and that was fine. And then he asked if I would have sex with him for any amount of dollars.
The young woman says she's made several $100s over the last few weeks and says her clients are mostly college students and married men. After we showed up, the woman told us she wanted to stop posing nude, but only after one last shoot Tuesday evening. So we watched a man in this pickup truck show up for his photo shoot without a camera. 15 minutes later, the man walked out of the student's apartment. Excuse us, sir. Hey, we were hoping to see if you could show us the camera that you were supposedly bringing over here.
I don't have one.
You don't have a camera?
No.
Were you coming here to take pictures of a nude college student?
No, I was not.
What were you coming here to do? Did you think you were just going to come here and take pictures, or did you expect something else, sir? The student says she loaned the man a camera, and as he drives off, look at his hand on the steering wheel. That appears to be a wedding ring.
You're more of an asshole than anyone who showed up here.
The student comes outside and defends the man who just drove off. She says ordinarily she's comfortable around cameras, but ours is no longer welcome.
Go home.